It probably wasn't,
let's
right?
wait for this to go live, and it's totally live.
It's recorded somewhere on the internet.
It's somewhere. It's live somewhere, right? Oh, we are. It totally did go live. Okay. Hey, welcome everybody. And it's Friday night. And welcome to our next edition here on Live Long and Podcast of Star Trek Radio Theater. This is our 13th episode. Can you believe it? And on this show, the crew here, we all reenact Star Trek episodes from the very series. We have sort of a rotation now. This week is original series. And so we're going to be playing. Some of us are playing multiple characters because it's original series and there's only a couple characters maybe. Most of us are only playing one character. So if you're here for the live version on YouTube or Facebook, you're going to be able to see on screen like who's playing who, so you can kind of follow along with the voices. And this episode is called City on the Edge of Forever. This is from the original series, first season. It's from 1967, written by Harlan Ellison, one of the great science fiction writers. And this is one of the great Star Trek scripts of all time, although it has a couple maybe dated references or not so nice things said in a couple of places in the dialogue. But overall, this is a great story and a great message. And I think one of the things that really is the epitome of what Star Trek is about in terms of philosophy. So, and also, love stories and time travel and all kinds of great fun stuff. So with no further ado, let's get into the story here, and we hope you enjoy the show. And just a little shout out, we have a brand new cast member, our friend Mott Tyrell, playing the role of Dr. McCoy tonight. So this will be his first time. So I'll introduce the whole cast afterwards as usual, but I just wanted to kind of plug Mott just heading into this as a first-timer virgin. All right, let's start the show. And bring up my script.
We focus on the bridge. Enterprise is at red alert. As she orbits a muddy-looking planet, every so often the ship shakes.
The Kirk wants you to stay on top of it, Mr. Sulu.
We're holding orbit, sir. The helm is sluggish.
Control circuits threatening to overload, Captain.
Understood, engineer. Mr. Spock, we can't avoid these areas of turbulence.
I believe we'll have them plotted in a few more orbits, Captain.
Sulu's console explodes and he is thrown to the floor, unconscious.
Sick bay to the bridge.
Switching to manual, Captain. Do we maintain this orbit?
Spock!
This is of great scientific importance, Captain. We're actually passing through ripples in time.
The Kirk wants you to maintain orbit. Open the channel to Starfleet Command. Precautionary measure, Lieutenant. Broadcast to Starfleet Command my past week's log entries, stating with the unusual readings we had on the instruments and how they led us here. Informs Starfleet Command that apparently something or someone down on this planet.
McCoy enters. Kirk points to Sulu.
Bones can affect changes in time, causing turbulent waves of space displacement.
McCoy goes over to Sulu and scans him with his tricorder.
Some heart flutter. Better risk a few drops of cortisone.
Tricky stuff. Are you sure you want to risk?
The hypo is administered, and Sulu opens his eyes.
You are about to make a medical comment, Jim?
It doesn't matter what you think, Doctor!
We're guiding around most of the time ripples now.
Mr. Spock!
All plotted but one, Captain. Coming up on it now seems to be fairly heavy displacement.
And they hit it. McCoy, who still has the hypo spray in his hand, jolts forward as the Enterprise is rocked by the ripple and ejects himself in the stomach with it.
Oh,
The crew rushes to his aid as he collapses.
Bones! The Kirk says get back to your positions.
The hypo, Captain.
It was set for portrait scene.
Empty.
Communications, emergency medical team.
Suddenly, McCoy sits up looking sweaty and manic.
killers! Assassins! I will let you. I'll kill you first. I will let you. You won't get me, murderers! Killers!
He dashes into the turbo lift and throws the poor, innocent crew member that was in there at the bridge crew.
Security alert!
Fade out.
Space, the final frontier! These are the Voyagers of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man can go before.
Yay.
The Kirk's log, supplemental entry. 2 drops of cortisone could save a man's life. 100 times that amount has just accidentally been pumped into Dr. McCoy's body. In a strange, wild frenzy, he has fled the ship's bridge, direction it will drive McCoy.
We focus on the transporter room. McCoy enters. He sneaks up behind the crew member at the controls and does a couple of judo chops. And knocks him out. He takes the man's phaser and then pulls some levers and presses some buttons on the transporter console. We focus on the bridge. Kirk enters from the turbo lift.
Continue alert, decks 4 through 11. The medical department knows as little as we do. In dosages approaching this, there's some record of wild paranoia.
Confirmed by the library record tapes, Captain. Subjects failed to recognize acquaintances, became hysterically convinced that they were in mortal danger, and were seeking escape at any cost, extremely dangerous to himself or to anyone else who might.
Bridge security alert! Alert!
The Kirk on the bridge here. Go ahead.
We focus on the transporter room. A security officer is helping the crewman off the floor, while another one talks to Kirk on the console.
Security 054, sir. We just found the transport chief injured.
We focus on the bridge.
Captain, Dr. McCoy has beamed himself down to the planet.
And the transporter at that time, Captain, was focused on the center of the time disturbance.
So, whatever's down there, McCoy is in the heart of it. Set up a landing party. Let's go get him. The Kirk out.
We focus on the planet surface. The landing party is Kirk, Spock, Scott, Uhura, and 2 security guards. Among remains of fluted columns and fragments of Greek-style buildings is an irregular donut-shaped object with lights in it.
These ruins extend to the horizon. Begin recording.
Recording, sir.
And of considerable age, on the order of 10,000 centuries old.
Detail, fan out. What is this thing, Mr. Spock? It seems to be pulsating with power of some kind. Analysis, please.
Unbelievable, Captain.
That's funny.
This single object is the source of all the time displacement.
Explain.
I can't. For this to do what it does is impossible by any science I understand. It is operating even now, putting out waves and waves of time displacement, which we picked up millions of miles away.
Landing party to Enterprise. No sign of Dr. McCoy. Search progressing. He pops up from behind a rock after Uhura and a security guard have passed by and runs off.
Incredible power. It can't be a machine as we understand mechanics.
Then what is it?
Suddenly, the misshapen donut lights up and pulses bright lights in time with the words it is speaking.
A question! Since before your sun turned hot in space and before your race was born, I have a question.
What are you?
I am the guardian of forever.
Are you machine or being?
I am both and neither. I am my own beginning, my own end.
I see no reason for answers to be couched in riddles.
I am simply as your level of understanding makes possible.
The rest of the landing party is still looking for McCoy. Scotty and another security guard are close, but don't see him hiding behind a wall. As soon as they move off in the opposite direction, Bones makes another run for it.
A time portal, Captain. A gateway to other times and dimensions, if I'm correct.
As correct as possible for you. Your science knowledge is obviously primitive.
Spock's human half is showing. This comment annoys him.
Really?
Annoyed, Spock.
Behold! A gateway to your own past, if you wish.
A camel train passing a pyramid in ancient Egypt. Gladiators and emperors in ancient Rome. Flashing images appear inside the talking donut.
Killers! Killers! I will let you get me! I'll kill you first! I will let you get me! Assassins! Murderers! Killers!
Scott and a guard manage to grab McCoy, and Spock neck pinches him. An army of lancers charge across the donut.
Spock! If that is a doorway back through time, could we somehow take Bones back a day in time then?
Relive the accident? This time be certain that the hypo accident is avoided? Look at the speed with which the centuries are passing, Captain. To step through on precisely the day we wish.
Guardian, can you change the speed at which yesterday passes?
I was made off of the past in this manner. I cannot change.
The U.S. cavalry charges.
Strangely compelling, isn't it? To step through there and lose oneself in another world.
Well, I'm a dang fool. My tricorder's capable of recording even at this speed. I've mistaping centuries of living history, which no man before has ever.
But McCoy has woken up.
What?
His face is still sweaty, but is now ashen and covered in red blotches. He dashes towards the Guardian.
Dr. McCoy?
Bones, no!
McCoy leaps through the donut and the pictures stop. He's gone, Jim.
Where is he?
He has passed into what was.
Captain, I've lost contact with the ship. I was talking to them. Suddenly, it went dead. No static. Just nothing.
The Kirk to Enterprise! Scotty!
Nothing wrong with the communicator, sir.
Your vessel, your beginning, all that you knew is gone.
McCoy has somehow changed history.
You mean we're stranded down here?
With no past and no future.
Captain, I'm frightened.
Earth's not there! At least, not the Earth that we know! We're totally alone. The Kirk's log! No stardate! For us, time does not exist! McCoy, back somewhere in the past, has effected a change in the course of time. All Earth history has been changed. There is no Starship Enterprise. We have only one chance. We have asked the Guardian to show us Earth's history again. Spock and the Kirk will go back into time ourselves and attempt to set right whatever it was that McCoy changed. If you smell, my voice is cracking, what the Kirk is cooking.
I was recording images at the time McCoy left. A rather barbaric period in your American history. I believe I can approximate just when to jump, perhaps within a month of the correct time, a week if we're fortunate.
Make sure we arrive before McCoy got there. It's vital we stop him before he does whatever it was that changed all history. Guardian, if we are successful...
And then you will be returned. It will be as tough as though none of you had gone.
Captain, it seems impossible. Even if we were able to find the right date.
Then even finding McCoy would be a miracle.
There is no alternative.
Scotty, when you think you've waited long enough, each of you will have to try it. Even if you fail, at least you'll be alive in some past world. Somewhere.
Aye.
Seconds now, sir. Stand by.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Happiness at least, sir. First World War images.
And now.
Spock and Kirk jump into the images. We focus on a street. They leap through a wall. With a poster for boxing at Madison Square Gardens. Welcome to the Depression.
The Kirk has seen old photographs of this period. An economic upheaval has occurred.
It was called Depression, circa 1930. Quite barbaric.
Two women give them curious looks, and Spock hides his ears with his hands.
We seem to be costumed a little out of step with the time.
I'm afraid I'm going to be difficult to explain in any case, Captain.
Well, Mr. Spock, if we can't disguise you, we'll find some way of explaining you.
That should prove interesting.
Let's get out of here.
They are nearly run down by a car while crossing the street.
Fascinating.
Look out, will ya? Why don't you watch where you're going? They head into an alley and spot someone's laundry hanging on a fire escape.
Theft, Captain?
Well, we'll steal from the rich and give back to the poor later.
Kirk heads up the first escape onto the little balcony and steals the clothes while Spock looks on from down below.
The Kirk thinks the Kirk is going to like this century. Simple, easier to manage. We're not going to have any difficulty explaining.
Then he sees the policeman.
Well,
You're a police officer. The Kirk recognizes the traditional accoutrements.
You were saying you'll have no trouble explaining it?
My friend is obviously Chinese. The Kirk sees you've noticed the ears. They're actually easy to explain.
A crowd is gathering. Kirk looks to Spock for help.
Perhaps the unfortunate accident I had as a child?
The unfortunate accident he had as a child. He caught his head in a mechanical rice picker. But fortunately, there was an American USA missionary living close by who was actually a skilled plastic surgeon in civilian life.
All right. Drop those bundles and put your hands on the wall there. Come on.
Oh, how careless of your wife to let you go out that way.
What? Where?
Ah, yes, it's quite untidy. Here, let me help you.
And a quick neck pinch in front of the witnesses. Then they grab the clothes and run off. With whistles blowing, they duck down the alley beside the 21st Street Mission and down the stairs to the cellar. We focus on a cellar. It's all boarded up and full of cobwebs. Clearly, it's been a while since anyone has been down there. They check anyway.
You were actually enjoying my predicament back there. At times, you seem quite human.
Captain, I hardly believe that insults are within your prerogative as my commanding officer.
Sorry.
They dig through the bundle of clothes and get changed. Kirk has his plaid shirt unbuttoned in a deep V, so plunging he may as well not be wearing a shirt.
Time we face the unpleasant facts.
First, I believe we have about a week before McCoy arrives, but we can't be certain.
Arrives where? Honolulu, Boise, San Diego. Why not Outer Mongolia for that matter?
There is a theory. There could be some logic to the belief that time is fluid, like a river, with currents, eddies, backwash.
And the same currents that swept McCoy to a certain time and place might sweep us there, too.
Unless that is true, Captain, we have no hope.
Spock examines his tricorder.
Frustrating. Locked in here is the place and moment of his arrival. Even the images of what he did. If only I could tie this tricorder with the ship's computers for just a few moments.
Couldn't you build some form of computer aid here?
Well, you've lost your damn mind in this zinc-plated, vacuum-tubed culture.
Yes, well, it would pose an extremely complex problem in logic, Mr. Spock. Excuse the Kirk. The Kirk sometimes expects too much of you.
The lights come on.
Who's there?
Spock puts on a woolen hat that was conveniently amongst the clothes Kirk stole. A young woman wearing an apron comes down the stairs. She confronts Kirk head on.
Excuse us, miss. We didn't mean to trespass. It's cold outside.
A lie is a poor way to say hello. Isn't that cold?
No, we were being chased by a policeman.
Why?
These clothes, we stole them. We didn't have any money.
Well, I could do with some help around here. Doing dishes, sweeping, general cleaning.
At what rate of payment?
They both give Spock a look.
I need radio tubes and so forth for my hobby.
15 cents an hour for 10 hours a day. What are your names?
My name is the Jim Kirk. He is Spock.
I'm Edith Keeler. You can start by cleaning up down here.
Excuse me, miss. Where are we?
You're in the 21st Street Mission.
Do you run this place?
Indeed I do, Mr. Kirk.
She leaves them.
Radio tubes and so on. The Kirk approves of hobbies, Mr. Spock.
We focus on the canteen. Kirk and Spock collect their bowls of soup and pieces of bread and sit at one of the long tables. Edith enters the room.
Good evening.
She steps up onto a small stage with a piano.
You'll be sorry.
Why?
You expect to eat for free or something? You gotta listen to Goody Two Shoes?
Now, as I'm sure somebody out there has said, it's time to pay for the soup.
Not that she's a bad-looking broad, but if she really wanted to help out a fella in need...
Shut your mouth and know your damn role! I want to hear what she has to say.
Yes, of course, Captain.
Now, let's start by getting one thing straight. I'm not a do-gooder. If you're a bum, if you can't break off of the booze or whatever it is that makes you a bad risk, then get out. Now, I don't pretend to tell you how to find happiness and love when every day is a struggle to survive. But I do insist that you do survive because the days and the years ahead are worth living for. One day soon, man is going to be able to harness incredible energies, maybe even the atom. Energies that could ultimately hurl us to other worlds in some sort of spaceship. And the men that reach out into space will be able to find the ways to feed the hungry millions of the world and to cure their diseases. They will be able to find a way to give each man hope and a common future. And those are the days worth living for. Our desserts will bloom.
Development of atomic power is years away, and space flight years after that.
Speculation, gifted insight.
The Kirk finds her most uncommon, Mr. Spock.
Kirk looks to Edith with a certain twinkle in his eye.
Prepare for tomorrow. Get ready. Don't give up.
Later, when the bowls are being handed in, Edith calls after Kirk.
Mr. Kirk, you are uncommon workman. That basement looks like it's been scrubbed and polished.
Then can we report back for other work?
Yes. 7 o'clock in the morning. Do you have a flop for the night?
A what?
You really are new at this, aren't you? A flop is a place to sleep.
Oh,
There's a vacant room at the place where I live for $2 a week. If you want to, I'll take you there.
thank you.
Good.
She leaves to get her coat.
We have a flop.
We have a what, Captain?
A place to sleep.
One might have said so in the first place.
We focus on her room, their new flop. It must be some days later, because Spock has already built a 50s horror movie contraption, complete with static electricity running between two vertical wires. Kirk enters with groceries and turns the whining thing off.
Captain, I must have some platinum. A small block would be sufficient, 5 or 6 pounds. By passing certain circuits through there to be used as a duonetic field core.
Mr. Spock, the Kirk has brought you some assorted vegetables, bologna in a hard roll for the Kirk himself, and the Kirk spent the other 9/10 of our combined salaries for the last 3 days on filling disorder for you. Mr. Spock, this bag does not contain platinum, silver, or gold, nor is it likely to in the near future.
Captain, you're asking me to work with equipment which is hardly very far ahead of stone knives and bearskins.
McCoy will be along in a few days, perhaps sooner. There's no guarantee that these currents in time will bring us together. This has to work.
Captain, in 3 weeks, at this rate, possibly a month, I might reach the first mnemonic memory circuits.
There's a knock at the door.
Your hat!
They both scramble as Edith enters the room.
If you can leave immediately, I can get you 5 hours work at 22 cents an hour.
Edith spots the device Spock has been building.
What? What on earth is that?
I am endeavoring, ma'am, to construct a mnemonic memory circuit using stone knives and bearskins.
Edith accepts this explanation, and they all head out. We focus on the canteen. Kirk and Spock are sweeping the floor, with the chairs stacked on the tables and 2 men repairing clocks. Spock notices what they are doing and points it out to Kirk.
Captain, tools for finely detailed work.
Later, we see Spock breaking into a chest with a padlock. We focus on the cellar. Spock is stoking the boiler when Edith comes in to confront them.
That toolbox was locked in a combination lock, and you opened it like a real pro. Why did you do it?
I needed the fine tools for my radio work. They'd have been returned in the morning.
I'm sorry, I can't.
If Mr. Spock says that he needs the tools and that they'll be returned tomorrow morning, you can bet your reputation on that, Miss Keeler.
Kirk gives her a classic Kirk smile and wins her over.
On one condition. Walk me home. I still have a few questions I'd like to ask you, too. Oh, and don't give me that questions about little old us. Look, You know as well as I do how you out of place you two are around here.
Interesting. Where would you estimate we belong, Miss Keeler?
Edith looks at Spock.
You, at his side, as if you've always been there and always will.
She directs her attention to Kirk.
And you belong in another place. I don't know where or how. I'll figure it out eventually.
Kirk and Edith engage in some ocular fornication, and Spock rolls his eyes.
I'll finish with the furnace.
Captain,
Spock and Kirk exchange another look.
even when he says it, even when he doesn't say it, he does.
We focus on the street. Kirk and Edith are strolling along hand in hand as Goodnight Sweetheart carries in the air from a radio repair shop.
Night, sweetheart, though I'm not beside you.
Why does Spock call you Captain? Were you in the war together?
We served together.
And you don't want to talk about it. Why? Did you do something wrong? Are you afraid of something? Whatever it is, let me help.
Let the Kirk help. 100 years or so from now, the Kirk believes a famous novelist will write a classic using that theme. He'll recommend those 3 words even over I love you.
Centuries from now, who is he? Where does he come from? Where will he come from?
Silly question. Want to hear a silly answer?
Yes.
A planet! Circling that far left star in Orion's belts! See?
Aha.
We focus on Spock in Kirk's room. Using the clockmender's tools, Spock gets an image on his tricorder screen of a newspaper report. It reads, Edith Keeler, social worker from 21st Street Mission, was killed today. Kirk enters.
How were the stone knives and bear skins?
I may have found our focal point in time.
The Kirk thinks you may also find you have a connection burning someplace.
Yes, I'm overloading those lines. I believe we'll have our answer on this screen, Captain.
Good.
And Captain, you may find this a bit distressing.
Let's see what you have.
I've slowed down the recording we made from the time vortex.
February 23rd, 1936, 6 years from now.
They read the screen. It's a newspaper article titled, FDR confers with slum area angel.
The President and Edith Keeler conferred for some time today.
Then the whole contraption goes up in flames.
How bad?
Bad enough.
The President and Edith Keeler.
It would seem unlikely, Jim. A few moments ago, I read a 1930s newspaper article.
We know her future. Within 6 years from now, she'll become very important, nationally famous.
Or, Captain, Edith Keeler will die this year. I saw her obituary, some sort of traffic accident.
You must be mistaken. They both can't be true.
Captain, Edith Keeler is the focal point in time. we've been looking for, the point that both we and Dr. McCoy have been drawn to.
She has two possible futures then. And depending on whether she lives or dies, all of history will be changed. And McCoy
is the random element.
In his condition, what does he do? Does he kill her?
Or perhaps he prevents her from being killed. We don't know which.
Get this thing fixed. We must find out before McCoy arrives.
Captain, suppose we discover that in order to set things straight again, Edith Keeler must die.
We focus on the street. The man we met earlier from the soup kitchen steals a milk bottle from a doorstep. He goes to take a sip when McCoy leaps through the Singer's bookstore window.
Assassins! Murders! Murders! Assassins!
McCoy sees the man and makes eye contact and begins walking towards him.
You! What plan is this?
McCoy starts walking towards him. The man drops the milk bottle and runs off.
Don't run! No, don't run! I won't kill you. It's they who do the killing. Don't run! I won't kill you.
McCoy begins chasing down the man. We focus on the boarding house. Jim and Edith are climbing the stairs together.
Why? What is so funny about a man reaching for the moon?
How do you know?
I just know, that's all. I feel it, and more. I think that one day they'll take all the money they spend now on war and death
and make them spend it on life.
Yes. You see the same things that I do. We speak the same language.
The very same.
They are outside room 33 when he leans in for the kiss.
Ah, la la.
Pie.
We focus on the street.
I got
McCoy catches the milk thief.
No!
I'm glad they got away with it too. Why do you think they want to kill us?
Look, fella. You take a sip too much on that old wood alky, and almost anything seems like it.
Where? Where are we? Earth? The constellations seem right, but explain this trick. Biped, small, good cranial development, no doubt considerable human ancestry. Is that how you're able to fake all this? Very good. Modern museum perfection, right down to cement beams. Very, very good. I'd give a lot to see a hospital. Probably needles and sutures, all the pain. They used to hand cut and sew people like garments, needles and sutures. The terrible pain.
He passes out on the ground and his color starts to improve. The man frisks him, finds his phaser, and runs off a little way. Down the alley, the man fiddles with the phaser. And disintegrates himself. We focus on Spock in Kirk's room.
How long before we get a full answer?
I'll need at least 2 more days before I dare make another attempt.
McCoy could have been in the city a week now for all we know. And whatever he does that affects her and changes history could happen tonight or tomorrow morning.
Captain, our last bit of information was obtained at the expense of 30 hours of fused and burned circuits.
The Kirk must know whether she lives or dies, Spock. The Kirk must know what to do.
We focus on the street. It's morning, apparently. McCoy wakes up on the street. The homeless men are still sleeping in shop doorways.
Extra, extra, get your morning paper. Get your paper, read all about it.
McCoy spots men going into the mission and follows them. We focus on the mission. Edith is pouring cups of coffee.
Oh, miss. Oh, the coffee. It smells wonderful.
Edith looks up at McCoy.
You look terrible. You better sit down. Come on.
I can't. I gotta keep moving. I can't let them find me.
There's a cot in the back room. They won't find you there. Come on.
She helps him out just as Spock comes in and starts serving the drinks. We focus on Spock in Kirk's room.
This is how history went after McCoy changed it. Here, in the late 1930s, a growing pacifist movement whose influence delayed the United States' entry into the Second World War. While peace negotiations dragged on, Germany had time to complete its heavy water experiments.
Germany, fascism, Hitler, those jabronis won the Second World War.
Because all this lets them develop the A-bomb first. There's no mistake, Captain. Let me run it again. Edith Keeler, founder of the peace movement.
But she was right. Peace was the way.
She was right, but at the wrong time. With the A-bomb and with their V-2 rockets to carry them, Germany captured the world.
No.
And all this because McCoy came back and somehow kept her from dying in a street accident as she was meant to. We must stop him, Jim.
How did she die? What day?
We can estimate general happenings from these images, but I can't trace down precise actions at exact moments, Captain. I'm sorry.
Spock! The Kirk believes that the Kirk is in love with Edith Keeler.
Jim, Edith Keeler must die.
We focus on the mission back room. McCoy stirs, dislodging the moist towel from his forehead. Edith rushes over.
Hey now, come on. You're not just to take on any tigers just yet. Lie down.
The most common question to ask would be, where am I? I don't think I'll ask it.
Why not?
The only possible answer would conclusively prove that I'm either unconscious or demented. This looks like older, around 1920 or 25.
Would you try to care for 30?
Am I unconscious or demented?
I have a friend that talks about the Earth the same way that you do. Would you like to meet him?
I'm a surgeon, not a psychiatrist. I'm Leonard McCoy, Senior Medical Officer of the USS Enterprise.
I don't mean to disbelieve you, but that's hardly a Navy uniform.
It's quite all right. It's quite all right, dear, because I don't believe you either.
Get some rest.
McCoy passes out and Edith leaves him to sleep. We focus on the boarding house. Edith has just gone up a flight of stairs.
Edith,
Are you following me, sir?
with ulterior motives. Does that please you?
I hope it means.
She stumbles and almost falls down the stairs. But Kirk catches her.
Oh, how stupid. I've been up and down those stairs 1,000 times. I could have broken my neck.
Spock goes back into room 21 as she kisses Jim. And reemerges when Kirk comes down the stairs again.
Captain, I did not plan to eavesdrop.
No, of course you didn't.
I must point out that when she stumbled, she might have died right there had you not caught her.
It's not yet time. McCoy isn't here.
We're not that sure of our facts. Who's to say that when the exact time will come? Save her, do as your heart tells you to do, and millions will die who did not die before.
We focus on the mission back room. McCoy is out of bed, drinking a cup of coffee. There is a knock at the door.
Come in.
Well, you look just fine, Doctor.
Thank you.
I thought you might like to see the evening paper.
No, not particularly. You know, I've convinced myself that this is all a Cortrazine hallucination, but I decided you're not.
That's reassuring.
But if you're not, what are you?
A friend. When you showed up here, you looked like you could use one.
I don't doubt it. Well, what about this place? Do you run it?
I try to.
Why?
It's necessary.
Well, it was for me at least. You saved my life.
Lots of people drink from the wrong bottle sometimes.
Not as wrong as the bottle I drank from. Allow me to show my gratitude. Please, perhaps there's something I do around here to thank you.
We can talk about that later. I have to go. My young man is taking me to a Clark Gable movie.
A who movie?
A Clark Gable. Don't you know?
Well, I know what a movie is, but
That's very strange. You'll get some rest. I'll see you later.
We focus on the street. Edith, Kirk, and Spock leave the mission together. Then Spock heads off alone. Kirk and Edith dodge traffic to cross the street. Kirk is, once again, almost hit by a car.
If we hurry, maybe we can catch the Clark Gable movie at the Orpheum.
What?
You know, Dr. McCoy said the same thing.
McCoy! Leonard! McCoy?
Yes, he's in the mission. He's...
Kirk runs back towards the mission.
Stay right here! Spock! Stay right there!
What is it?
McCoy! He's in!
McCoy comes out and they greet each other enthusiastically.
Hey!
A truck is coming down the street as Edith starts to cross. she's not looking. Kirk rushes towards her.
No, Jim.
Edith!
McCoy dashes forward, but Kirk grabs him and pulls him back onto the pavement just as Edith and the truck meet in a squeal of brakes.
You deliberately stopped me, Jim. I could have saved her. Do you know what you just did?
He knows, Doctor. Dang it, he knows.
Night, sweetheart, though I'm not beside you.
We focus on the planet's surface. Kirk and Spock leap back out of the Guardian.
What happened, sir? You only left a moment ago.
McCoy returns.
We were successful.
Time has returned its shape. All is as it was before. Many such journeys are possible. Let me be your gateway.
Captain, the Enterprise is up there. They're asking if we want to beam up. But the Guardian's offer doesn't tempt Kirk. His broken heart for Edith has left him.
Let's get the blue hell out of here if you smell what the Kirk is cooking.
The end.
And that concludes our reading of Star Trek Radio Theater's The City on the Edge of Forever. And just coming back on screen, welcome. We hope you enjoyed that. And we're going to introduce all of our cast now. So, okay, well, since I'm already on camera, I'm Dave Mader. I was playing Edith Keeler, the leader. Right here was my brother Jeff. He was playing the role of the Guardian Forever as Gilbert Gottfried. He was also the homeless man who vaporized himself, and Sulu, coming out of that shock he had at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Also introducing Ashley and Kevin Millard. Kevin Millard playing the role of Spock, and Ashley Millard playing the narrator, as well as Uhura and the driver who almost runs Kirk over. Also, as mentioned, our new cast member here, Mott Tyrell, who was playing the role of Dr. McCoy for his first time ever, and perhaps the star of this episode. Oh, and very good, Mott, and perhaps the star of this episode, Michael Chan as the Rock, if he was Captain Kirk, and Jessica Chan playing many roles, including Scotty and the newspaper Crier and the policeman and Lieutenant Galloway. There's quite a few, but you were kind of the Jill of all trades tonight, of all different. You were a lot of security officers and cops mostly, but not exclusively. So great job, everybody! I really had a lot of fun with that one. We hope that you enjoyed listening. For those of you who are with us live tonight, and we hope that you enjoyed it afterwards on the audio version if you're listening on your car or wherever you get your podcasts. So, what did everyone think? Any initial reactions, thoughts? And whoever wants to put their hand up.
You sounded like Mrs. Doubt Edith Keeler Fire.
I was Mrs. I had this plan the whole week. I was gonna learn an English accent, a particular English accent, and I was gonna do it. And I just never got around to rehearsing. I never got it, so I just kind of jumped into the moment and said, I'm Mrs. Doubtfire or whatever it was. I don't think that was intentional, but I think it was like, yeah, it was that.
Well, that's how she is in the episode, but then you spice it up a bit with Robin Williams-esque performance.
Yeah, that wasn't necessarily a conscious decision, but I'm glad that worked out. I know the accent was inconsistent at times. I know that, but I thought that I got the spirit of the character. I watched a lot of Joan Collins YouTube videos kind of leading up to this. Tom, Mott, how do you feel about your first reading of Star Trek Radio Theater, man?
Could have been better, but I mean, like, it was
You
fun.
did really well, man.
Yeah, you were amazing, man. I really liked it. Yeah.
Murderers!
Assassins!
But like, in like the future, like I see like how everybody else plays it. Like I was so like the whole time, like how Kevin, you played it, like that killed me. so. And like we had the whole rock going and stuff like that. Like that now like that gives me inspiration that like at some point like you can like rock. I got like all kinds of like things that I've always like thought about doing, and this was okay to just do it straight because I just wanted to be safe.
Yeah, well, if you go back and listen to my first performance, our first live one. I was doing the Picard, but then I also was doing the narration, and I was so like,
it was not good enough, damn it.
It was not good enough, not good enough, damn it. And but you got nerves. You need to do a few of these before you're like completely like out of it. Like most actors get to rehearse their stuff and do it a few times. We just jump in cold usually. We have no idea who's going to do what or whatever, and so sometimes we're even just like reacting in the moment to who we're playing against, which is a lot of fun. Yeah, no, you did great, Mott. Like, pat yourself on the back. You played a big role. I know you had to wait some long periods in between your dialogue because McCoy comes in and out of this episode.
I kept myself busy.
I bet you did. Did you like Jeff's Gilbert Godfrey Guardian of Forever?
Thank you.
I felt kind of bad for him at the end. They just kind of leave him.
Yeah.
Like he's been alone on that planet for no long, and they're just like, yeah, we're going to go. And he's like, hello.
He's like, this sucks.
Kirk gives him a big middle finger at the end.
Donut.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
I'd like that, like having that, and then like all the different voices together. Kind of made it pretty fun because it wasn't straight.
Right, and this episode is a little more serious. Right?
We never do it straight.
I thought Gilbert did the voice back in 1967.
And Michael, great energy with that rock. I was like, I can't believe the choice to be the rock just because you had to keep that up for so much dialogue. You're talking like 35% of the time in this.
Yeah,
script,
it was tough because I've never tried to maintain this voice for long periods of time. So I mean, it did crack partway through, but yeah,
I think you even said that in the dialogue. You're like, my voice is cracking.
The Rock. The Rock as Kirk was. I didn't know I wanted it, but when I got it, I was happy.
My throat just hurt listening to it. So I was like, oh, it's a lot of work.
No, this was great.
I
I always enjoy
listening
these.
to The Rock try and be romantic.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, I did. I did not with Mrs. Doubtfire of all people.
With Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah. And you're,
hey Dwayne, if you're watching. Hey Dwayne, if you're watching, new movie idea.
There you go.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson as Kirk.
We got a comment from Phyllis here.
Star
She
Trek.
says, "Bravo, everyone! One of my favorite episodes. Welcome to the group, Mott. Great job." So, thank you, Phyllis. And we echo these appreciations for Mott, and we always love to have new life and blood in the cast, right? So it's fun, just having somebody different to do this with. But we love doing it with each other too, of course, and just what we're always going to bring. Did I say that right?
Oh, do we, Dave? Do we love doing it with each other?
Just like at the beginning when you said you really wanted to plug Mott before we get started.
I like plugging Mott. It's great. We all love doing it with each other.
All right.
Get on
This is
top
why
of
I
it,
usually
Sulu.
script myself. I write my lines in advance before I come up with these thoughts off the cuff.
But I'm looking here all of a sudden, on page 35, where all of a sudden Kirk, The Rock had to go like Germany, fascism, Hitler. They won the second one. But all of a sudden, you added like the jabronis.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
That was like the perfect timing for that.
Yeah, changing it all to third person references was that's how The Rock is the wrestler The Rock talked.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So the wrestling character. So yeah, so that's that was really great. But I feel like we also kind of got the story across, which was there was this sort of like person ahead of her time, but the sad part was that she had to die in order for sort of things to work out in the end. But for the time she was in, she was right, but it allowed Germany to conquer the world and all these other things. So an interesting philosophical.
Apparently, great things happen when good people die.
Apparently, yeah.
That's that's the moral of the story.
Why can't it be like, no, we have to kill this evil person, before they ruin the world? It never works the reverse in the stories. But
have you guys seen the show The Man in the High Castle? Because that's where Germany does win. I feel almost
I want to watch it though. Yeah,
I almost feel like this could be like why that exists.
This is what happened.
This is what happened.
Yeah.
It's McCoy.
Yeah.
It was this one woman.
She had
all McCoy.
Murderers.
Yeah.
Assassins.
Now,
jabronis.
I was playing Sister Edith Keeler, so wasn't I a nun? And was this appropriate for me to be fooling around with the Kirk so much?
Is she supposed to be a nun?
I didn't know that.
I don't.
She's in.
She was supposed to be a nun.
She's in the credits for the
Considering
episode.
she's basically inviting him into her room at one point.
Well, she might be a progressive nun.
Yes.
So
very ahead of her time.
They're
not on time.
Visionary. Nuns are nuns.
She probably wasn't Catholic. Was she Catholic?
Wait, yeah, maybe not. But she's in the episode.
Beat him with a ruler.
No. Mom's like, what are you saying?
I sneezed.
Oh, you sneezed and you blew yourself across the room. I thought you were afraid that we were getting into some sexual fantasies here with Sister Edith Keeler or something. But yeah, so thank you all for listening. We're going to go off the air shortly here, and we're going to be picking we always do our draft sort of off air, what episode we're doing. We know we're doing Deep Space Nine next. That's the series we're going to next. And we're going to be picking which episode and who's playing who in the minutes after we come off the air here. But, let us ever know if you have a suggestion, and we'll try to work it in as well. Also here on Live Long and Podcast, make sure to listen to listen to all of our weekly shows. We have Tuesday night Star Trek Deep Space Nine rewatches. That's me, Jeff, and Jamil, and the Millards often talking about that show as we're just entering the beginning of season 2. We just got through the Bajoran trilogy.
The long slug.
It was a long slug, Mike.
Oh man!
But here we go. We're getting ready. If you want to start, you can always watch it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm
it's
excited
happy.
for this Tuesday. I like this episode.
Yeah, it's gonna get better now.
Yeah, and then Wednesday we're going to be doing original series. Me and Jeff watched that with my dad and Jody and Adam Woodward, where we're going to be watching The Return of the Archons is coming Wednesday, which is where Kirk's dressed up like a Colonel Sanders. I don't know what's going on, but it looks fun. And then on Thursdays we do Star Trek Lower Decks as we're we just finished the 7th episode. We're heading into the 8th episode. I don't know if anybody saw last night's episode yet, other than Jeff and I, but it was great. It was actually my favorite episode of the series so far. So I would recommend checking that out. And then
considering what you gave the first 2 episodes, I'm excited.
Yeah, this was better. And also and a couple of the middle episodes were kind of so for me, but this was a lot better.
They got our highest score.
Well, you've been
slow
steadily
decline. So this was kind of a
2 episodes.
Yeah,
you gave the first 2 episodes a good high score. So
I gave it my highest score. I hadn't given anything above a 7 yet, and I give it an 8. I think.
Yeah, so I'd really recommend checking that out. That show's going to finish up with 10 episodes in a few weeks, and then in October we're heading into Star Trek Discovery, which we think is also Thursday nights. Michael, myself. Who else is on that? We had Adam Woodward. We're bringing in Josh Shields. We're going to have a whole Discovery crew to talk about that show as they head into the 3rd season and the 31st century. And also our other channel is called Super Mater Brothers Podcasting, where Jeff, I, and Jamil talk about Big Brother 3 times a week, Sundays, Wednesdays and Thursdays. Because we also do Survivor. We've done Westworld over on that channel. We do other shows that aren't Star Trek. And then on our third channel, it's called Trivial Debates. That's our monthly debate show where we argue about movies, sports, TV, and more. And we have our biggest maybe ever coming up with our first time triple threat tag team match. Me and Jeff versus Jody and Kevin versus Jameel and Chris Seymour. It's going to be something. Ashley judging. And the questions went out today. And so we're all gearing up.
Actually, we got our answers in. We're coming. We got it. We've already talked. We've strategized. We've talked about what our answers are going to be, and we're coming after the other teams.
Yeah, we already got it.
Won. We already have the right answers.
We already have the
so
right
it's
answers.
just a matter of
just have to say the
convincing
right things,
Ashley,
and then we win. So it's easy.
And then it'll work.
Yeah.
So check out all of our
I've got some
content.
good answers in. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah, let's see it. And check out all of our content. Subscribe, share, whatever. Just do it, please. All right. So that's it. We'll all say goodnight for this episode. And I'm Dave Mader. On behalf of Jeff Mader, Kevin Millard, Ashley Millard, Mott Tyrell, Michael Chan, and Jessica Chan.